Hello, I'm Judy, and this is a follow-up video for the last video, which was the cookery session when I made scones. So here we are. It's ESOL for asylum seekers, and it's a follow-up session, which means that you're going to have to do some work. And it's a follow-up session for the scones cookery session. So you need to have watched that video before you can complete the work that I'm going to give you here. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you all the answers to all the questions that I ask. And as before, you will need a sheet of paper and a pen or a pencil ready so you can write down your answers. And there will be 10 questions. So if you want to start off by writing down numbers 1 to 10 down the left-hand side of your paper, you can do that. But it's important that you do this work because that's how you will learn English. Now, before I start giving you the questions, I'm going to recap what we did last time and how I made the scones. So you'll see behind me, this is the board with the recipe for the scones that I made, and it lists all the ingredients, all the things that were put in together to make the scones. So we'll go over them. It was 225 grams, that G means grams, and grams is a weight, of self-raising flour. And this is the self-raising flour. You can see on the packet it says self-raising flour. There was 1 teaspoonful, that TSP means teaspoonful, of baking powder. That's the baking powder. And this is the little measure that I used to measure 1 teaspoonful. If you remember, when you did the work on spoons, that's a teaspoon, a little spoon. 50 grams of butter. There's the butter. So 50 grams of butter. 25 grams of caster sugar. And I can remember telling you that caster sugar is often in a yellow packet like this. I'll hold it close to the camera so that you can see it says caster sugar. It's finer than granulated sugar, which is often in a blue packet. This is caster sugar, and it's good for cooking. And finally, 110, now it's not grams this time because it was a liquid, so it's millilitres. ml stands for millilitres of milk. I think you all know what milk is, and I haven't got it out. I'd have to go to the fridge to get it. So, but I don't think I need to show you milk. So those are all the ingredients, and I showed you that in order to weigh the grams, I used my scales. Those are my scales, and I put things in here to weigh them. Now, scales is a funny word in English because we have an S on the end. It's not scale, which would be singular, it's scales with an S. Scales, even though there's only one of them. So we don't call this a scale. This is a set of scales with an S. So you need to remember that because it's rather unusual. We don't usually put an S on the end of something which is singular. And then, when I mixed everything together, rubbed things in with my fingertips, if you remember, and then mixed everything up, and then rolled it out. And I rolled it out with a rolling pin, like that. And then I cut the scones out with a cutter, like that. There's the cutter. I put them on a baking tray and we put them in the oven. Here's my oven. You can't see all of this at the moment, but that's my oven. And the oven was heated to 220 degrees Celsius. That's 220, and that funny little circle up there means degrees, and the big C means Celsius. I haven't got a gas oven, but if it was gas, it would be gas number 7. And I put them in the oven and I cooked them for just over 12 minutes, but you might want to cook them for a bit longer. So that's what I did. Now, I'm going to take that board away because I'm going to ask you questions on that, and I don't want you to cheat. Okay, now you've got to remember. So I hope you've been concentrating. Now, here's the first question. Remember, if you want time to answer, press pause. So the first question is, what is the word for the items that are all mixed together to make scones? What is the word for the items that are all mixed together to make scones? Is it inwards, ingredients, or ingenious? It's one of those. Which one is it? Write it down by your number 1. Number 2 question. What does the letter G mean when it is shown after a number? What does the letter G mean when it is shown after a number? Does it mean grains, grands, or grams? It's one of those. Which one is it? Write down what you think it is. Now here's question 3. And you might want to pause if you want to try this when you're writing it down, because it might be a little bit more difficult. So question 3 is match the abbreviation to the correct measurement. So here are the abbreviations. 1 TSP, 1 TBSP, and 1 ml. Those are the abbreviations. Now, which one means which? One of them means 1 milliliter. Another one means 1 teaspoonful. And another means 1 tablespoonful. Which one is which? You can either draw this on your paper and draw lines, or you can write the two together. You might want to pause while you do that for number 3. Number 4. What do we measure in degrees Celsius? What do we measure in degrees Celsius? Do we measure temperature, time, or weight? One of those. Write your answer down. Question 5. Do we make scones on a bowl, outside a bowl, through a bowl, or in a bowl? Which of those is correct? Do we make scones on a bowl, outside a bowl, through a bowl, or in a bowl? And if you remember, that's a bowl. Now I'm going to show you things for number 6. There are 3 different things I'm going to show you, and you need to write down what each item is called, what the name is for each item. So, question 6. What do we call these pieces of equipment? This is the first one, and I've called it A. So, is it a rolling plate, a rolling pin, or a round pin? Which is it? There it is. Here we are. This is the second item. I'll put them down there. Are these scales, schools, or stales? Scales, schools, or stales? That's B. And then this is the third one, C. There we are. Is this a coster, a coaster, or a cutter? Which is it? Write it down on your sheet of paper. Question 7. What is another word for stirring? Now, I'm not going to give you any hints here. Is it squashing, cooking, or mixing? What's another word for stirring? Squashing, cooking, or mixing? You write down your answer for number 7. Number 8. What shape did I make the scones? What shape did I make the scones? Did I make them square, triangular, or round? Write down your answer. Number 9, question 9. Where did I cook the scones? Did I cook them on an oven, in a pan, in an oven, or on a hob? Which of those is correct? Where did I cook the scones? Now, this is question 10. This is the last question, and this is very difficult, and some of you may not know the answer, and it's something that I haven't yet covered in these videos, but I thought I would put it in just to test you, and you can see whether you know it or not. Now, for this question, there is more than one answer. So it's not just one answer, there is more than one. So it might be 2, it might be 3. You have to work out which are correct. Now, question 10. Which statements are correct? Correct means right. And statements are these things here. In scones, there is more flour than sugar. Is that correct? The next one. In scones, there is less butter than flour. Is that correct? In scones, there is more sugar than butter. Is that correct? And the last one, in scones, there is less flour than baking powder. So which of those are correct? Write down the correct ones. And I suggest you pause the video while you do that so you can think about it. And now, I hope you haven't cheated, because now I'm going to give you the answers. So you've got to have got all your answers to the questions ready. Don't write them down afterwards. Okay. Question 1. What is the word for the items that are all mixed together to make scones? And the answer is ingredients. Ingredients. Question 2. What does the letter G mean when it is shown after a number? The answer is grams. Grams. Question 3. You have to match the abbreviation to the correct measurement. 1 TSP is 1 teaspoonful. So a TSP is a teaspoonful. 1 TBSP is a tablespoonful. A TBSP is a tablespoonful. And 1 ml is a milliliter, 1 milliliter. Question 4. What do we measure in degrees Celsius? We measure temperature. Question 5. Do we make scones? We make them in a bowl. In a bowl. So that one. And then, what do we call these pieces of equipment? That is a rolling pin. A rolling pin. These are scales. Scales. And this is a cutter. A cutter. Number 7. What is another word for stirring? Stirring, it's mixing, mixing, the last one there. What shape did I make the scones? Well, this is a clue because I made them round, because that's a round cutter. Where did I cook the scones? I cooked them in an oven. In an oven. That one. And number 10, the last one, the very hard one. Which statements are correct? There are 2 statements that are correct. In scones, there is more flour than sugar. And the second one that is correct is in scones, there is less butter than flour. These are not correct. Those 2 are incorrect. You need to look at the ingredients to check that. I'll show you that quickly. There we are. So, more flour than sugar. So a lot more flour than sugar. Less butter than flour. Less butter than flour. But there is not more sugar than butter, and there is not less flour than baking powder. Now don't worry if you've got that wrong, because we'll do that in another lesson. Now finally, I'm just going to hold up the answers, so in case you didn't write those down as I spoke, you can pause and copy. So I'll see if I can hold them both at the same time, because I couldn't get them all on one sheet. There we are. If you pause now, that's good. And I said, how many did you get right? If you only got 1 or 2 right, it may be a good idea to look at the video again of me making scones and try again with these questions. You can do it as many times as you like. It doesn't matter. It will be good for your English. And as always, that's it. That's all for now. Bye.